Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another video. This week I want to talk about being reactive. I love this topic because I think a lot of us need practice with this because we were not taught how to do this. We're not even aware that we are reactive to people. You really have to learn self-mastery in life, and you really have to learn the ability to have self-control over your emotions because you're reacting to essentially an emotional trigger. You're reacting to someone who is toxic and negative, and the more you react, the more you're going to actually get into the ring with this person. They're going to drain your energy, deplete you, cause you to feel stress, fear, anxiety, etc. So we want to learn how to be able to handle ourselves when we are dealing with any type of people that are toxic or unhealthy. Now, before we do get into this week's video, if you're new to my channel, my name is Stephanie. I am a life and relationship coach. And if you have not already subscribed, don't forget to click the subscribe button down below and click on post notifications. So let's get into being reactive because I want you to understand why we are reactive to people. So when someone says something hurtful, they do something hurtful, they make that little comment that tries to cut you at your knees, they try to give you a little bit of manipulation, a little bit of guilt. And if you're not aware that someone's even giving you that little bit of shade, that they're hurting you, that they're saying those things to kind of try to get at you or cut you, then this video probably is too advanced for you. We need to start back with you being self-aware to recognize when someone is doing something or saying something that's making you feel off. But if you understand that this person in your life typically says these things, tries to cut you, uses guilt, uses manipulation, whatever the emotional abusive tactic is that they try to use on you, if you understand, okay, mom typically does this or my ex-husband typically does that, then what you want to understand is that the reason why they're doing this is because they're not getting what they want. They want something from you, which is control. They want to get something out of the situation. You're not conforming. You're not giving them what it is that they need, because you're kind of saying, okay, what works best for me? What do I think? How do I feel? What can I give? What should I be doing right now? Because you're very self-loving to say, hold on, I'm not going to just be codependent and just conform and give and give and give. I'm going to actually start stopping and asking myself, do I want to do that? Should I do it? Is it even good for me to be doing this right now? How do I actually feel about this? Versus me always being the giver in life. Because you are either that person or you have learned to start becoming that person, the abuser or the other person that's the taker is not getting their way. And so when someone isn't able to get their way, no matter what that looks like, whether you do something for them, you think a certain way about them, they ask you for something and you say yes, they share their thoughts and opinions and you don't agree with them, if you're not able to give them what it is that they need, which is basically attention, which is basically control, which is basically supply, then their chances are they're going to do certain things in order to try to either hurt you, manipulate you, make you feel guilty, so you'll then conform and give them what they need. Now, even if they say something that's hurtful, obviously you're probably not going to give the person what they need, but just by hurting you, it kind of helps soothe that part of themselves that's feeling uncomfortable or not good about themselves because they weren't able to control you. So if you understand that most people, think about a really small child that is not getting their way. What do? They throw a tantrum. They go on the floor, they start screaming, they stomp their feet. So as the child begins to grow up, you don't really see a 15-year-old at the store stomping their feet, crying hysterically and rolling around on the ground. What you do is you start seeing different tactics that the child will use in order to get their way. And one of the number one tactics is going to be guilt. That's why typically when someone's not getting their way, the first thing they're going to attempt to throw at you is going to be guilt. Then they might use shame, then they might use manipulation or they might be verbally abusive or maybe even physically abusive. So there's a trail of tactics that someone will try and use. And so what you want to understand is that when someone's not getting their way, and they're abusive or they use whatever tactic they like to use, because I always think people have a couple of tactics that they like to use. They don't go through every single emotionally abusive tactic that there is. There's usually a few, I call them the drinks of their choice, essentially. So once this person does that, because you're unaware of all of what we're talking about right now, you're not aware of any of this. You're unaware that this person's essentially throwing a tantrum. You're unaware that, like, you understand that they're not getting their way, but you have just been programmed to just react to them because by being either defensive yourself or over explaining why your answer is possibly no, because you've done certain things for so long, certain tactics yourself, certain behaviors for so long, that it just kind of becomes a part of you. And so what you want to learn is how to understand the logical side of this situation and the emotional side of this situation. The logical side is understanding, okay, this person is throwing a tantrum, and this is how they deal with them not basically getting their way, and that actually isn't about me, no matter what they're doing or what they're saying to try to get a reaction out of me. And by me actually reacting, not only does that person now have control over my emotional state, because again, remember, I'm unaware that you're doing this to me because you're not well, you're unhappy, you're not getting your own way, you're throwing a tantrum, you want control and you don't have it. Because I'm unaware of all of that, I'm going to just react to the thing that you're trying to throw at me. So I'm going to react to the snide comment. I'm going to react to the unreasonable statement that you just made. I'm going to react to the guilt that you're trying to make me feel right now. I'm going to try to convince you why, this is why I'm saying no, or this is why this is the way that I want it to be. And this is fair. This is black and white. You can't see that. No, you're not going to see it. The person's not going to see it because they don't care about what's fair. They don't care about what's right for you, what's good for you, because they just want what they want. You're dealing with a selfish taker. You're dealing with someone who's unhealthy. I think the reactiveness sometimes where people really struggle is when they're trying to convince someone, the abuser or the person in front of them, they're trying to convince them of their side of the story. You're trying to convince them that what you're asking for is fair. You're trying to convince them that, hey, it's in my best interest to take care of me, and this is all the reasons why I can't say no. You're trying to convince them so they will not feel uncomfortable by you saying no, versus not over-explaining, not becoming defensive yourself, but letting the other person sit in the fact that they don't have control right now, and this is a tantrum, and now they're giving me backlash. Basically learning how to put that wall up so the other person can sit and how this actually is making them feel. Because what's happening is you're dealing with a person who as a child never learned the skill of not being able to get your own way. So as a child will learn over time that you're not going to always get your way. And when you don't get your way, this is how we handle it. This is how you're going to learn how to soothe yourself. This is what you're going to learn to be able to handle the fact that nope, you don't have control over mom, or you don't have control over your friend. So because they never learned that, what they actually learned was the opposite. They learned how to get what they wanted in life by doing certain things. And so because of that, now, unfortunately, you have to be consistent with this person so they learn that you're not a person that will react emotionally to them. Meaning, I'm not going to react and give you what you want after you bullying me or pushing me or making me feel guilty or throwing me shame. And I'm also not going to give you what you need because I'm learning how to kind of stand in my own self. I'm going to learn how to be connected with what I think and how I feel, and I'm going to honor what it is that works best for me. When you do that and you're consistent with it, the other person will have to change. They're going to have to learn who you are and what you're capable of giving them. So yeah, you're going to hit a point of backlash, and it always probably might get worse before it gets better, because you're trying to reprogram not only yourself, but reprogram the other person to accept that this is now the new me. And when I say no, or when you ask me of something, if it doesn't work for me and the answer is no, I'm not reacting to it. I'm not getting defensive. I'm not overly explaining. I'm going to actually give it back to you. And you have to figure out how you are going to deal with how that makes you feel, because that's what grown-ups do. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to check out all of my products and services. I will link them down below. We actually just launched my new ebook. Super excited about that. Thank you guys so much for your love and support, and I'll see you next week.